Welcome to Live with the Joneses, where faith comes first, family is our mission, and together every day is an opportunity to be the light of the world. I'm Ricky Jones, and this is my smoking hot wife, Joanna.
This is a show where we talk about marriage, homeschooling, parenting, trouble, marriage, trouble, family. Just kidding. We talk a little bit about everything. So today's topic is about marriage.
You can watch us live every Thursday, as Joanna was saying, at 8 p.m. here on Facebook Live. You can watch us after the fact on YouTube. These videos are usually uploaded to YouTube the next day, so on Fridays. You can check them out on YouTube as well. Help us to get some more subscribers on YouTube, and we'll be able to go live on YouTube as well. That's something that we would like to do. But we need to build our audience a little bit more on YouTube before we do that.
So if we build up our audience, we get to be live here on Facebook and on YouTube at the same time.
At the same time.
How cool is that? That's pretty awesome. So like us, subscribe on YouTube as well. So please go right now and do it. So today's topic, episode is number 15. We're going to be talking about the seasons of marriage. And we'll be talking about this book. It's called The 4 Seasons of Marriage. Before we,
and we got a sword.
Oh yeah, the boys got new swords.
No, I didn't got it. Daddy did it.
Okay, go play.
So we always like to start with a quote. So today's quote is...
Like a light.
So this week's quote is actually from a friend of ours. His name is Pat McNeil, and him and his wife are very much involved with Engaged Encounter, so we know them through that. They've been married, I don't know, like almost 50 years?
Yeah.
40.
So shout out to Pat and Kay. They're very involved in their parish. They're very involved in Engaged Encounter, and they're a very wonderful couple to look up to. So, so you said the quote?
No. So I mean,
go ahead. You can say it. 'Cause you really like that quote.
We've used it a lot. So when someone was asking him and his wife about marriage, particularly, and if it ever gets better, because sometimes maybe you're going through a difficult time in your marriage, and so someone came up to them and asked them, does it ever get better? Saying that they're going through a tough time, it's hard. Does it ever get better? Does it ever improve? Do we ever get past this difficult time? And his answer, which was very wise, was, it doesn't get better, it just gets different. It doesn't get better, it just gets different.
And it does. It doesn't get better.
But that's not a bad thing, right? It gets different. And so he always just explains how, throughout the seasons of marriage, throughout the different times of your life, you grow, you change, you evolve, right? And the same thing happens in your marriage. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, basing that also on,
the book,
as Joanna was mentioning, Gary Chapman, who is also the author of The 5 Love Languages that we talked about a couple weeks ago. But this book is called The 4 Seasons of Marriage. And so he talks about the different,
4
seasons of marriage. But
and how you could incorporate that into your marriage.
Right.
So again, we're always talking about, books, and Ricky loves books, and I learned from him because he tells me the information, but
because she won't read.
No, I'm not a reader.
Before the show, here's an example. Before the show, I wanted her to read the back of this book. It's like 4 paragraphs, a paragraph for each of these 4 seasons, just so she could be familiar with what we're talking about.
And I said, no, I'll read it as long.
Couldn't even do that.
I'll read it when I read it to you guys. So
that's how much she hates reading.
No, it's not that. My memory is very short. See, my brain is like this small or this small, right? So
she has a very small brain.
I do. Anyhow, so before we start talking about this book, we've been married. Our anniversary is coming up in August 29th. So
wow, she remembered.
I know. It's because one of our boys was born on the 25th, so I get confused. It was the 25th, and he's always saying like, "Oh, he was like our gift," So maybe I'll remember after that. Anyhow, so we've been married. It's gonna be 8 years now.
8 years. 8 long years. Team Jones.
Of suffering. I'm just kidding. No, so we forgot because like we've been so busy, and we're like, "Oh, our anniversary is coming up." So that's exciting. It's like Ricky said, 8 years of our lives, and plus what we dated. We've been together, it's going to be 13 years, right? Or 12? Yeah, 13.
2005 is 2015.
What?
No, 12 yeah, 12.
It's going to be 13 or 12?
12.
Anyhow,
It'll be 12 years.
It's going to be 12 years, so that seems a lot, but there's been days that it's hard. There's been days that they're happy, and there's been days that we go through the seasons, the 4 seasons of marriage.
And that's exactly what we're going to do today, is go through those 4 seasons of marriage. But before we do that, today's show is brought to you by Audible. And if you're a person, like how Joanna was saying, you know, I love to read, but it's hard for me to find the time to be able to sit down and read. I work all day, and then I get home from work, and Joanna puts me to work again. So I don't really have a lot of time to sit down and read, but I still get to read because I use Audible. And Audible is basically over 180,000 books in their library that you can download to any device, your phone, your tablet. I use it on my Android, so I can listen to it while I'm working, while I'm walking, while I'm driving, anywhere. I can hook it up to my Bluetooth headphones or the Bluetooth in the car, and we can listen to, well, I can listen to those books wherever I go. So I love that, and Audible has given a special offer for all the listeners or viewers of this show that you can get a free trial, a free 30-day trial to the program. It costs $15 a month, and each month you get to download 1 book. But,
so can they get this one there?
Yeah, so for this special, this offer, you can sign up through audibletrial.com/thejoneslife, and you can get that free 30-day trial plus 1 free download. So you can get 1 free book, basically. So you go to the website, you get a free audiobook. No questions asked.
So once you're done watching our show, go right ahead and get your free book, because it's pretty awesome.
And we'll put a link afterwards. But yeah, you can even look up the book that we're going to be talking about, and I'll mention it again at the end of the show. So,
all right, moving on.
Commercial over. So we're talking about this whole idea of the seasons of marriage, and that it doesn't get better, it gets different. And
I thought you say worse.
But when you get married, you say these certain vows to your fiance at the time, right? You say,
or you make your own vows.
Well, if you're Catholic, you don't get to make your own vows. You have to use the specific vows. But that's another show.
Yeah.
So the traditional vows, or the sacramental marriage vows, are: I, Ricky, take you, Joanna, to be my wife. I almost said husband. I promise to be true to you in the good times and in bad, in sickness and in health. I will love you and honor you all the days of my life. So, if we're saying in the good times and in the bad times, then that means that we are acknowledging up front, before we even get into marriage, that there's going to be good times and bad times, right? Has there been good times and bad times?
Of course there has. More bad than good. Just kidding. No.
But I mean, every marriage has good times and bad times.
And there's no such thing, you know, you hear, oh, a perfect marriage, you know, like, you could be a good marriage and you could be a good witness to others, you know, but perfect, I don't think we're perfect, you know, like, we're always changing, and you get angry and blah, 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 all that stuff, you know, so I don't think there's such thing as a perfect marriage either. No. You know?
And I mean,
or a perfect person. I mean,
and that's
we
part
can
of
strive
life.
to be a good marriage.
Right, because I think it's part of life, that whole idea that we're being challenged, we're facing difficulties and struggles, and just like, you know, Gary Chapman in this book, he talks about that whole idea of the nature. You know, every year there's those 4 seasons that we go through, and it's just a natural way. Some seasons we like more than others, some are more comfortable than others, but you know, we can't change the fact that there's that cycle that we have to go through. And in the book, he talks about that we, in our marriage, we go through that same cycle. So, you know, we could talk about the seasons of the year. What is your favorite season of the year?
Mine is spring. I was thinking summer, but not really, because it's really hot and I hate the heat. But I think spring, and I always remember Miss Congeniality, the movie. They asked the girl, like,
Gracie Lou Freebush?
Right. What is your favorite time of the year? And she's like, what do you say, spring, I think, because it's not too hot and not too cold.
Oh, yes.
So I am with her. I like spring because it's not too hot and not too cold, but you get to see the beauty of the nature, which, you know, the flowers and the smells of the roses and all the beauty, the color, I guess you would say, you know.
Right.
So I would say spring.
I like spring too, probably for different reasons. I think it's like the most beautiful time of the year, because there's the flowers, everything's green.
Right.
But I also like summer, even though it's really hot. I'm not a fan of the heat, but I think summer is nice because we get out and we do stuff, and we're kind of focused on that whole idea of being together as a family and vacation and all that. So I guess there's things that we like about the different seasons, and none of them are bad. We still enjoy all of them. But so when it comes to the seasons of marriage, though, what is?
So on the book, it's 4 seasons, which we have 4 seasons. So we have summer. That's the first one. It says a deep sense of satisfaction and security characterizes marriages in summer. And then it says more, but it's not that important. Spring, which is mine. Joshua, sit down, buddy. Spring. Spring represents a time of hopefulness and new beginnings. And then there's more, but it's like about the book. It says winter. Winter relationships are distant and difficult. Marriage is much harder during this season of cold silences and bitter winds. But once you and your spouse develop a vocabulary for melting the ice, you'll soon be on your way for warmer, happier times.
Wow, that's very hopeful.
Fall. Fall carries with it the unwanted change, uncertainty, and that's a big word. Unsettledness. There you go. That all couples face during the life of their marriage. But with Gary Chapman's help, you will learn how to navigate this turbulent season. Plant the seed of hope and avoid the threatening wind of winter.
Right. So you see there how there's all those different seasons of marriage. Some are more challenging than others, but we all kind of go through those cycles. And like Joanna was mentioning earlier, we've only been married 8 years, but I think we've probably hit all 4 of those seasons already. You know, you think of when I first saw this book, the whole idea of the seasons of marriage, I thought, you know, that's something I'll read when I'm like married for like 40 years or something, because you know, we're kind of newlyweds in a sense because we've only been married 8 years. It seems like a long time to us, but to people who have been married for their whole lifetime, it's nothing. So when I first saw the book, I was like, it's not really for me. But it was actually given to me as a gift, put it on the shelf, and then when I felt like we were having those difficulties, those struggles, that's when I picked it up and started reading it, and wow, it really hit home for me. So speaking of that, when I did pick it up, I felt like we were in winter. And again, it says that winter is that time of where you feel distant from each other, you feel cold, you know, and you're facing difficulty. So, you know, I've had that feeling before.
Can you say an example?
I think it's not like something that happened. It's more of just like a feeling that you get. You kind of, I think what happens is you get busy with life. And a lot of times for us, you know, we're busy, we're working, we're doing ministry. There's so much stuff going on that it's easy to get sidetracked, or your marriage kind of gets put on the back burner, whereas it's something that needs to be one of your top priorities. And so if you're not putting the effort in, it's easy to fall into that season of winter. And so I've experienced that winter with Joanna where I feel like cold and distant, where we're not really hanging out together, we're not talking a lot, where it feels like kind of like we're just roommates going through the motions. We live together.
Does that mean, like, does it have to happen during winter?
No.
No, right?
No. It just means that our relationship is in winter.
So just because he's saying winter, that doesn't mean like it only happens during
Christmas time. Everybody's lovey-dovey because it's cold. That's what I always tell her, when it's cold outside, like,
get warm.
That's when she wants to be warm and cuddle. And we talked about it before. She's not a cuddly person, but when it's cold, that's when she wants to cuddle. So that's why I like winter.
Not even.
But
I get hot, so I'm like, go away.
Right now because it's summer.
Yeah.
But again, I think that whole idea of, you know, we go through these cycles, right? So for me, I felt like we've been in that season of winter, and when I was reflecting on that and thinking about that, and you know, all those thoughts going through your head, you know, what's wrong with us? How do we get here? That's when I picked up the book and read it, and it really opened my eyes.
Yeah. Well, it says here, you know, during springtime, is it spring? No, yeah, winter. You get to develop, you know, how to deal with these problems, like how to talk about it, because you know, sometimes, like, I remember when you're young, you know, you do the silent treatment thing, you know, and once you're married, like, you can't really do silent treatment anymore, you know. It's like you have to learn to talk about it and use new vocabulary in your life, because you have to. If not, you're gonna stay you're gonna stay winter for the whole year.
Yes.
And you don't want to stay winter for the whole year.
That's right.
Yeah, go ahead.
So some of the other seasons, let's see,
Well, let's talk about summer since we're in summer.
Well, I think summer, it says a deep sense of satisfaction and security characterizes marriage in summer. I think, in a way, that's kind of, for us, would be like the newlywed stage, right? Like, so like when you first get married, everything's happy, there's no struggles, like you're not worried. Like in winter, you're focused on the problems. In summer, there are no problems. You're not even thinking about that. You're just happy, go lucky. You're just being together, and that's all that matters. So I think that's kind of, in a sense, like the newlywed phase, right? So for us, obviously we experience that as newlyweds, but we've had times in summer as well where it's like everything is good, we're happy.
Why? And I think, it's a good thing. It's a reminder. We're talking about anniversaries, It's a reminder when you celebrate your anniversary to remember those moments, when you guys first met, and do something special, go out of your way to do something nice for your spouse, So it's a good way to make those memories again and to remember, how did it feel when you guys first met, or how did it feel when you guys got married, or do they make you get married or something like that, But I think it's a beautiful thing on every anniversary that you get to have a chance, to celebrate it, to do something special for your spouse, to remind you of that summer or that nice feeling, when you guys celebrated something special,
Well, that reminds me of, like, I think it's important, this whole idea of kind of the cycles that we go through, because it is a reminder, right? It's like if it's always just the same, then you don't think about it. You just you get stuck in your ways. And I think when you have to go through this cycle and you realize, hey, things are changing, it makes you have to do something to be active and make your marriage a priority in order to get back to summer, right?
It's like your faith, if you're just feeling good and warm and that's it, you're gonna stay like that forever. Like, no, you have to struggle to be a better person, or you have to struggle to learn something new, So I think mellow and just playing gets boring, It has to be cycles in life, And that's why we love that quote that our friend tells us, It doesn't get better, it just gets worse. I'm just kidding. No, what is it?
It doesn't get better, it just gets different.
It gets different, and that's true. It gets different. For example, us now, there's days we're just talking about, we have once a month we have our community group here. We invite people to just come over. We talk about, mass, church, readings, and just have a good time. Not a good time, just be in community, And we're talking about how we met before. We used to go to mass, in the mornings. Not when we met. Every day. When we first got married. Tell me we do that now. No, because we have kids, so it's so much different. But your life changes, and that doesn't mean that your life is gonna, forever suck, but we just have to learn to go through those, stages. And not only one person, marriage is about two people, not only him, not only me, but both of us have to put, our part as well.
That's right. And I think going back to that whole idea of the year, like for me, I know the way I see it is like Thanksgiving and Christmas. When you get to the holidays, everybody kind of, it's like that reminder that we need, hey, humanity is something to be appreciated, something to be, what's the word I'm looking for? To give thanks for who we are, for, we all kind of come together in that time of year, right? We do charitable works, we help each other. Everyone's kind of focused on love and being good people in that time of the year. Once it gets to summer, nobody cares, everybody's just doing their own thing. But it's that whole idea of we need that reminder to get us back to where we need to be. So I think it's a beautiful thing. And I think, obviously God created nature that way for a reason, right? That whole idea, that whole cycle. And if you think about it, it kind of permeates every aspect of life.
Yep. So let's do, we did summer.
We did summer and winter.
Let's do spring. So spring, which is my favorite time of the year, says spring represents a time of hopefulness and new beginnings.
New beginnings. So yeah, I think it's like you're coming out of winter, right? That cold, the distance. You're seeing. I like it that it says here. It says hope, right? It says hopefulness. That whole idea of summer. You're looking forward to change, to the good times, right? You're coming out of winter and approaching summer, so it's kind of like a transitional phase. It's when you think of spring, you think of life, you think of green, you think of flowers, you think of all of that. So I think in this case, it applies to marriage the same way. It's when you start to see the fruits of, putting in
a blessing or anything.
Right,
and
putting
I think,
in the work that you need.
For many it will be, deciding a new job, like you're hopeful to get a job, for your family, or new house and stuff, so there still decisions that you have to address as a couple, but sometimes you have to just kind of be hopeful and see, and leave it in God's hands to see what's going to happen,
to not lose hope. Yeah.
Exactly, because sometimes when you lose hope, that's when there's trouble,
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the the last one is fall. Fall carries with it the unwanted change, uncertainty, and unsettledness that all couples face during the life of their marriage. So, unwanted change. We were talking about change in springtime, which is the change that you're looking forward to, the good things. But fall is kind of uncertain, right? So, talking about finding a job, fall would be losing a job and then not knowing what's going to come next, right? Mm-hmm. It's happened to us twice now. I've been laid off from the same company 2 times. So, I guess I'm an expert in fall. Bad company. The whole idea of the uncertainty, what is to come? We can't control the future. We don't know what's going to come, so we have to, not lose hope. But I think it also could be a time to make sure that we band together as husband and wife, right? And not let that uncertainty be something that drives us even further apart.
Mm-hmm. And these days you see a lot of couples that are divorced or separated because of uncertainty, let's say money issues and stuff, because they're not, they don't feel like they're in a good place and stuff, so they don't know how to communicate that stuff. So if we're not there, to support each other during those, those struggling times, it's gonna fail, it's gonna fail. So again, reminder that we need to be there with each other to support each other through the good times and through the bad times.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, going back to that quote, it doesn't get better, it just gets different. And I think when you understand that concept, it kind of frees you up from wanting that perfect marriage like the one I was talking about earlier, because you know that you're never going to have a perfect marriage. There's always going to be good times and bad times, but through it all, we walk together. And I think that's true. That's what the point that Joanna's trying to make. I think that marriage means that we are together for better, for worse, in good times and bad, in sickness and health, to love each other and honor each other all the days of our life. That means on the days that we feel like it and the days that we don't feel like it. On the days where it's cold outside and on the days where it's not.
Yeah. So just a shout out to people that I'm seeing are logging in. Thank you for watching us. We're talking about marriage and the 4 seasons of marriage. We're reviewing this book about from Gary Chapman, and it talks about 4 seasons of marriage. It's summer, spring, winter, and fall, and they're all different, seasons that as couples we all go through. So we definitely recommend this book. Ricky mentioned at the beginning, if you're just viewing us, Elijah, you could get it for free at Audible.
Yes, so the deal is,
Elijah,
you can sign up. If you're like me, you might love to read. We recommend this great book, and it's hard to be able to sit down and read a book because you got kids running around, you got wife you got to take care of. So in my case, I put on the earbuds. Here we go.
I'll be like, Ricky!
And I don't hear anything. Oh, this is a wonderful story. I love this book. I've learned so many great things. No, but this whole idea of Audible, to me, it's something that's helped me read a lot of books. I've read probably 2 books a month because of Audible. Before that, it was like maybe 2 a year because I just don't have the time. So audibletrial.com/thejoneslife. You get a free 30-day trial to the program. It's normally $15 a month, but you can get it for 1 month for free, and you get to download a free book, and you can get Gary Chapman's The 4 Seasons of Marriage. You can get his other, even more popular book, The 5 Love Languages. But there's also over 180,000 other books in their library, so you can check out anything you want. Once you sign up for the program, you get 1 book a month. for $15 a month.
So for
It's
that
a
whole month,
membership.
for the month, can you get us? You can read books during that month, or how does that work?
So for the way Audible works is you sign up for a monthly membership. So you're paying $15 a month. That's what you have to pay, and then you get 1 credit each month. And that credit goes towards any book that you want. It doesn't matter how much the book costs normally, you get it for 1 credit.
Yep.
Like if you say you wanted to go buy a book on Audible outside of that, without the membership, there's books from like a couple dollars up to like $30 or $40, depending on how long the books are. Is usually how long or how much they cost. So in this case, you get any book, even if it's a $40 book, you're getting it for only that $15 a month. You get 1 book a month. There's higher level subscriptions too, but the base subscriptions for $15 a month, you get 1 book a month.
Cool.
But
so there you have it.
in your case, viewer, you get 1 free book right now if you go over to audibletrial.com/The Jones Life.
Yep. So, you know, I want to end with a story that I went to my uncle's this week, and my mom was there, and I was telling Ricky that a guy lives there with them, you know, a young guy, well, he's like 30 something. And I asked him, I was like, when are you gonna get married, you know? And he's like, oh no, like it's so hard to get, you know, good girls these days. I was like, huh, you know? He's like, and then I don't know how because he said he's scared. He's scared because a friend of his, you know, got married. And I guess the wife started wanting like expensive, please stop, expensive stuff, you know. So she got a job. She wanted the guy, you know, they had a nice house. They had a good car, you know, the guy got her a new Toyota or something. But no, she didn't want that. She wanted a better, you know, better purses, better shoes, a better car. So she wanted to get a BMW. So she did, you know. But her family was falling apart. I guess they had 3 girls. And the wife was not being there for the family. So the family started falling apart. So I guess the wife decided to leave the husband. And obviously they got a divorce. And I guess they, you know, I guess the guy lost like half of his money and had to give it to her. So he's like, that's not fair, you know, how come she had to get money when she was the one that left the girls and the guy and so forth, you know? So he was just traumatized by that story, by that situation. And I was just like explaining to him, like, not everybody's the same, you know? And my thing was, you know, if you don't have a strong, I saw a thing on Facebook today, you know, when you put God first since the beginning of your marriage, you end strong. Or it was a picture, something like that, you know, and that's what I was trying to explain to him, but he was just like, not, like, he's like, I don't want to hear it, you know, but usually, like, when I have those type of conversations, I'm, like, smooth, and I don't, like, yell at people and so forth, you know, no, but he was just like, no, and his thing was like, as soon as I meet a girl, I'm gonna have a prenup for her, and I'm gonna tell her this is my house. I was like, well, good luck, because marriage is not about a contract, you know, it's about trusting each other, and just because that happened to your friend, that doesn't mean it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work for you. You know?
If you're going into it with that mindset of
exactly.
oh, if we get divorced, you're kind of already thinking that it's gonna fail.
So you really think it's gonna work out? Like, I don't think so. You know, right. Odds are bad. You know, and so it just reminds us again, you know, there that when you put material things or other things before, you know, the relationship, which somebody, Darren O'Brien over here said, you know, I believe that if there is willingness from both sides, yes, it does get better, but sometimes worse before it can. And that's the situation with this story, you know. She didn't want any help. She didn't want to save her marriage, so it was harder to save it. But when both of them, you know, would have come and say, you know, we need help, I think the marriage could have been saved, you know. And that's a big story, right? That's like a big, you know, dramatic, you know, story. But why get it to?
Why let it get to that point?
Exactly. You know, let's not get it to that point and seek help. There's so many, you know, there's so much help out there in the, you know, churches, you know, nonprofits for marriages. We're always recommending, you know, Marriage Encounter. We love Marriage Encounter. We went to Marriage Encounter when we were like 2 years married, I think, or something like that. It's a wonderful program. You know, books. You could get so much help from books. Other couples, you know, older couples that have been married, you know, you can learn from them as well.
From these videos.
From these videos.
If you don't have time to read the whole book, we give you the the synopsis in 30 minutes.
So reach out to get help. You know, we see these movie stars and, you know, that are dying with depression and so much stuff that sometimes you don't even think what they're going through, you know. And it's the same thing with marriage. If you don't seek help, your marriage is going to fail, unfortunately. You know, you don't know, you know, through depression or the worst thing, divorce, you know. So why get it to that point? So I hope you guys like this show today. You know, send us some topics. We're always thinking about what can we talk about. Like I mentioned, we talk about homeschooling, marriage, parenting, family, but we're always open for new topics. If you're interested in learning, you know, hearing some stories from us or anything,
Or
you know,
ask us a question. We can share some of our personal experiences.
Yes,
as
we
well.
we would love to. Like I mentioned, so this ends our show. I hope Ricky will finish with the quote that we started today. Go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, come to our Facebook, like us, because we want to get to a certain subscriber so we could go live on Facebook and on YouTube. So pretty exciting.
Yes, and I think the question that we want to leave you with today is, what season of marriage are you in? So I know everyone that's watching is not necessarily married, but for the ones who are married,
Even for individuals.
right, but for the ones who are married,
How
what
are you
season
feeling?
of marriage are you in? Or if you're single, what season of life?
Right.
You know, are you in summer, spring, fall, winter? Think about that, reflect on that, and see what season of marriage you are
So
in.
it's
Once again,
summer.
you can pick up
Gary
Chapman's The 4 Seasons of Marriage on audibletrial.com/The Jones Life. The 4 seasons are summer, a deep sense of satisfaction and security. Spring, a time of hopefulness and new beginnings. Winter, distant and difficult. Fall, unwanted change, uncertainty, and unsettledness. So, what season of marriage are you in?
So if you're good and it's happy, good for you. Keep it up. If you're on winter, we definitely recommend the book. But definitely reach out to get some help because, you know, marriage is a wonderful thing and you can save your marriage.
Amen.
All right, this does it for us.
Thank you for joining
so
us
much.
this week. Have a blessed week and make sure
Follow us on Facebook for new exciting things this week. We'll be posting some new
we have
stuff.
some new videos coming up. Besides the live show, we
Yes.
also have some other videos coming up with some stuff that we've been doing with the kids. So
Yeah.
that'll be fun.
So we did some fun places, we visited some fun museums, and we did some fun experiments, really cool ones. So
Those will all be on
Yes.
Facebook and YouTube. So you
So
can find them both places.
like us and subscribe. Bye, good night, have a blessed night. Bye.